Welcome back to our channel dedicated to exploring the captivating realms of history. Today, we're diving into the fascinating life of one of history's most iconic figures, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born on August 15, 1769, in Corsica, Napoleon's early life was marked by his upbringing in this Mediterranean island. Napoleon was born into a family of modest means, and his parents were of Italian descent. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a lawyer, while his mother, Letizia Ramolino, came from a prominent Corsican family. Growing up, Napoleon was strongly influenced by the political situation of Corsica, which was struggling for independence from Genoa and later came under French control. At the age of 9, Napoleon was sent to mainland France to receive a formal education at the military academy of Brienne-le-Château. Here, he began to exhibit his exceptional intelligence and strategic thinking. Despite facing challenges as a foreign student, he excelled in his studies, particularly in mathematics and history. It was during this time that he also developed a deep interest in military strategy and tactics. After completing his education at Brienne, Napoleon continued his military training at the renowned École Militaire in Paris. This institution provided him with an extensive knowledge of artillery, engineering, and military theory. Napoleon's passion for military affairs flourished, and he quickly established himself as a promising young officer. His early military career was marked by notable achievements, such as his role in the French Revolution and the subsequent campaigns in Italy. Through his military successes, Napoleon rapidly rose through the ranks and earned a reputation as a brilliant and innovative leader. From his humble beginnings in Corsica to his military education in France, Napoleon Bonaparte's early life laid the foundation for his future conquests and his eventual rise to power. Napoleon's journey began in 1785 when he joined the French army as a young artillery officer. The outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789 marked a turning point in his career. The revolutionary fervor provided him with an opportunity to showcase his talents on the battlefield and climb the military ladder. In 1793, Napoleon's reputation soared when he successfully defended the French Republic against an Austrian and Prussian invasion at the Battle of Toulon. His strategic genius became evident as he deployed artillery to retake the city, earning him the rank of brigadier general at the age of 24. Napoleon's rise continued in 1796 when he was appointed commander of the French Army of Italy. It was here that his military brilliance truly shone. Facing a coalition of European powers, Napoleon employed innovative tactics and swift maneuvers, leading his army to a series of resounding victories. One of his most notable triumphs came at the Battle of Lodi in 1796. Outnumbered and outgunned, Napoleon seized the opportunity to personally lead his troops across a narrow bridge under heavy fire. His audacity and quick thinking paid off as the French forces broke through and achieved a decisive victory, securing his reputation as a military genius. The following year, Napoleon further solidified his position with a stunning campaign in Italy, where he consistently outmaneuvered his opponents. His victories and strategic brilliance forced Austria to the negotiating table, resulting in the signing of the Treaty of Campo Formio, which reshaped the map of Europe and established Napoleon as a prominent figure in French politics. By 1799, France was in turmoil, and political power was up for grabs. Napoleon seized the opportunity and staged a coup d'état, overthrowing the Directory and establishing the consulate with himself as first consul. This marked the beginning of his transformation from a military general to a political leader. Napoleon's victories and strategic acumen during the French Revolution propelled him to unparalleled heights of power. His rise through the ranks of the French military showcased his ability to inspire and lead his troops to victory, while his innovative tactics and audacious maneuvers solidified his reputation as a military genius. Napoleon Bonaparte, renowned for his military successes, also made lasting domestic reforms in France that left a profound impact on the country's legal system and governance. Two key aspects of his reforms were the implementation of the Napoleonic Code and the centralization of power. The Napoleonic Code, officially known as the Civil Code of 1804, was a comprehensive legal framework that sought to unify and modernize French law. It replaced the complex and inconsistent patchwork of laws that existed before Napoleon's reign. The code brought about legal equality, protecting individual rights and property, and promoting meritocracy. It emphasized the principles of clarity, predictability, and uniformity in legal matters, contributing to a more efficient and accessible judicial system. The code also recognized the notion of civil marriage, granting women greater rights and control over their property. Napoleon's centralization of power was another fundamental aspect of his domestic reforms. Through the centralization of authority, Napoleon aimed to streamline governance and establish a more efficient and effective administration. He reorganized the administrative divisions of France, replacing the decentralized system of the old regime. Local authorities were appointed by the central government, ensuring greater control and consistency in decision-making. This centralization extended to various spheres, including taxation, education, and law enforcement. By consolidating power in his hands, Napoleon sought to create a more unified and disciplined nation capable of implementing his reforms and maintaining social stability. To support his centralization efforts, Napoleon established efficient government institutions. He formed the Council of State, a body composed of legal experts, administrators, and advisors, which provided him with expert counsel and helped formulate policies. The Council of State also played a crucial role in drafting legislation, including the Napoleonic Code. Additionally, Napoleon reformed the educational system, establishing the University of France, which aimed to centralize and standardize education throughout the country. In his military campaigns, Napoleon Bonaparte demonstrated exceptional strategic prowess and innovative tactics that led to his remarkable victories. One of his notable successes was in Italy between 1796 and 1797. Employing rapid maneuvers, concentration of forces, and surprise attacks, Napoleon outmaneuvered and defeated his enemies in battles like Lodi, Arcole, and Rivoli. These victories established him as a formidable commander and showcased his ability to divide and conquer. Another significant campaign was the Egyptian expedition in 1798. Despite facing logistical challenges and the eventual loss at the Battle of the Nile, Napoleon implemented various innovative measures during his time in Egypt. He established scientific and cultural institutions, fostering exploration and knowledge. Although the campaign did not achieve its initial objectives, it highlighted Napoleon's ambition and contributed to his reputation as a military leader and scholar. However, it was the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805 that solidified Napoleon's military genius. Facing a combined Austro-Russian army, Napoleon devised a brilliant strategy. By feigning weakness in the center and secretly positioning his forces on higher ground on the flanks, he drew the enemy into a trap. When the enemy committed their troops, Napoleon launched a devastating counterattack, encircling and defeating a significant portion of their forces. The battle demonstrated his ability to manipulate the battlefield and exploit tactical advantages. Throughout his campaigns, Napoleon introduced innovative military strategies and tactics. He emphasized speed, mobility, and surprise, using rapid marches and lightning strikes to disorient and overwhelm his opponents. He revolutionized the use of artillery, concentrating fire to break enemy formations. Additionally, Napoleon implemented the corps system, enhancing flexibility and coordination on the battlefield. Napoleon's empire expansion was a testament to his military prowess and political acumen. Through a series of military conquests and strategic alliances, he sought to establish French influence and control across much of continental Europe. One of the key aspects of Napoleon's empire-building strategy was his adept use of military force. His campaigns were marked by swift and decisive victories, often achieved through superior tactics and a well-trained army. From the Italian peninsula to Central Europe, Napoleon's forces consistently defeated his adversaries and brought territories under French control. For instance, during the Italian campaign, Napoleon defeated various Italian states and established French puppet governments. These victories not only expanded French influence but also helped to weaken the traditional powers in the region, such as Austria. Napoleon's military successes extended beyond Italy. He launched a series of campaigns that resulted in the incorporation of numerous territories into his empire. Through the Treaty of Tilsit in 1807, Napoleon established alliances with Russia and Prussia, effectively neutralizing them as potential adversaries. He also created the Confederation of the Rhine, a league of German states under French protection, further extending French influence in Central Europe. Napoleon's conquests also reached as far as the Iberian Peninsula. In Spain, he placed his brother, Joseph Bonaparte, on the throne, establishing a French-controlled monarchy. However, the Spanish resistance against French rule, known as the Peninsular War, proved to be a major drain on French resources and ultimately weakened Napoleon's grip on the region. Through a combination of military victories and strategic alliances, Napoleon's empire expanded to include territories such as present-day France, Belgium, the Netherlands, parts of Italy, Germany, and Poland. His control over these regions brought about significant political and social changes, as well as the implementation of Napoleonic reforms that aimed to modernize and centralize governance. Napoleon's empire-building efforts were not solely reliant on military conquests. He recognized the importance of alliances and diplomacy in expanding French influence. By forming strategic alliances with certain European powers, he effectively neutralized potential adversaries and gained their support or acquiescence. For example, through his marriage alliances, Napoleon sought to solidify relationships with other ruling families and ensure their loyalty. He married Josephine de Beauharnais, who came from an influential family in Martinique, and later married Marie-Louise, an Austrian archduchess, strengthening ties with Austria. These marriages not only brought personal benefits to Napoleon but also served to foster political alliances. Napoleon's ability to establish alliances and manipulate the political landscape allowed him to exert control over key regions. Through treaties and agreements, he effectively reduced opposition and expanded French influence, creating a network of client states and puppet governments. One significant factor that led to Napoleon's downfall was the persistence of resistance in occupied territories. As Napoleon expanded his empire across Europe, he faced ongoing opposition from local populations who resisted French rule. The nationalistic sentiments and desire for independence fueled the resistance movements in countries such as Spain, Portugal, and Austria. In Spain, the Peninsular War, which we previously discussed, highlighted the strength of the Spanish resistance and the difficulties faced by the French army in suppressing it. Similarly, in Austria, the people's resentment towards French dominance and their longing for independence fueled uprisings and further strained Napoleon's military resources. Another factor that contributed to Napoleon's downfall was the economic impact of his policies and military campaigns. Financing his empire-building efforts required vast resources, and Napoleon imposed heavy taxes and levies on both French citizens and occupied territories. The economic strain caused discontent among the population and added to the growing opposition against him. Furthermore, Napoleon's continental blockade, known as the Continental System, aimed at isolating Britain economically, resulted in unintended consequences. The blockade, which restricted trade between continental Europe and Britain, had severe economic repercussions for European countries heavily dependent on British trade. It led to smuggling, economic hardships, and discontent among nations affected by the policy. Additionally, Napoleon's ambitious military campaigns placed a significant burden on his forces. The constant need for new recruits and the strain on resources stretched the French army thin. As the wars dragged on, casualties mounted, and the pool of experienced soldiers dwindled. The heavy losses suffered in battles such as the Russian campaign further weakened Napoleon's military power and undermined his image of invincibility. Lastly, the formation of coalitions against Napoleon by other European powers played a crucial role in his eventual downfall. The constant threat of a united front against him put significant pressure on his military strategy. European powers, including Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia, formed alliances to counterbalance French dominance and protect their own interests. These coalitions aimed to exploit Napoleon's weaknesses and coordinate their military efforts against him. They engaged in diplomatic negotiations, formed military alliances, and strategically planned campaigns to challenge French control. The combined strength and determination of these coalitions proved to be a formidable challenge for Napoleon, leading to his gradual loss of power. After facing a series of setbacks and defeats, Napoleon's reign as Emperor of the French came to an end in 1814. The victorious European powers, recognizing the threat he posed, decided to exile him to the island of Elba, located off the coast of Italy in the Mediterranean Sea. Exile to Elba was intended to remove Napoleon from the European stage and confine him to a remote location. However, rather than resigning himself to a life of obscurity, Napoleon viewed this as an opportunity to plan his comeback. During his time on Elba, Napoleon worked to maintain his influence and keep his name alive in France. He established a small but loyal force, known as the Imperial Guard of Elba, and implemented various reforms on the island. Despite his limited power, he continued to correspond with supporters and carefully observed the political developments in France. Meanwhile, back in France, the restoration of the Bourbon monarchy under King Louis XVIII faced challenges. The French people, dissatisfied with the Bourbon rule, grew nostalgic for the days of Napoleon's strong leadership. Sensing this discontent, Napoleon saw a chance to reclaim power. In February 1815, taking advantage of the political turmoil in France, Napoleon made his daring escape from Elba. Accompanied by a small group of loyal soldiers, he landed on the French mainland. As news of his return spread, a remarkable chain of events unfolded, known as the 100 Days. To the surprise of many, Napoleon's return sparked widespread enthusiasm among the French population. The troops sent to apprehend him instead rallied to his cause, recognizing his charisma and military prowess. As he marched towards Paris, he was greeted by cheering crowds, a testament to his enduring popularity. The restored French government, headed by Louis XVIII, faced a precarious situation. Despite their attempts to resist Napoleon's resurgence, their control began to crumble. Realizing the challenge posed by Napoleon's return, European powers formed a new coalition against him. The culmination of this extraordinary chain of events occurred on June 18, 1815, at the historic Battle of Waterloo. Here, Napoleon's forces clashed with the coalition army led by the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian General Blücher. The battle proved to be Napoleon's final defeat, ending his bid for power. With his defeat at Waterloo, Napoleon's dream of reclaiming the French throne was shattered. He was subsequently captured and exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he would spend the remaining years of his life in seclusion. Napoleon Bonaparte's impact on European history cannot be overstated. His military tactics, administrative reforms, and the spread of nationalism transformed the political and social landscape of the continent. First and foremost, Napoleon revolutionized military tactics and strategies. His innovative approach to warfare, known as the Napoleonic warfare, emphasized speed, mobility, and the effective use of artillery. Napoleon's military successes also led to a rise in nationalism across Europe. As his armies conquered and occupied various territories, they brought with them the principles of the French Revolution: liberty, equality, and fraternity. In addition to his military prowess, Napoleon's administrative reforms left a lasting impact on the countries he ruled. His most significant reform was the Napoleonic Code, also known as the Civil Code of 1804. Furthermore, Napoleon centralized power and established efficient government institutions. He reorganized the administrative divisions of France, replacing the decentralized system of the old regime. In conclusion, Napoleon Bonaparte's legacy is deeply intertwined with European history. His influence on military tactics, administrative reforms, and the spread of nationalism has left an indelible mark on the continent. I hope you enjoyed this riveting exploration of Napoleon's tumultuous trajectory. Through the highs and lows of his legendary reign, we hope to have shed light on the complex forces that shaped his destiny. As we reflect on the lessons from history's enigmatic figure, may it inspire us to ponder our own ambitions, embrace resilience in the face of adversity, and strive for greatness in our own unique endeavors. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey through the rise and fall of Napoleon Bonaparte.